What's up, Hoof listeners? Thanks for joining me on this Friday edition of the Hoof Podcast. Back at it again for another week. We are going to make the case for guard or tackle. Continuing the series, this is now the second episode of our series of Making the Case. Be sure to check out Sterling making the case for running back last week. And I had a little segment on WGR, talking running backs with Howard and Jeremy. Be sure to check that out if you missed it. And tonight it's just me solo, E. Brown Hoof. And we're going to make this case for guard or tackle. And I got some good stuff for everybody. But first, be sure to check out the Cover One Network. Still going strong in the off season. Tons of great content out there. You can check out the Hoof Podcast every Friday. You can check out the Hoof Live every Tuesday. You got the Cover One Buffalo Podcast with Greg and Aaron every Monday and Wednesday. And don't forget about Anthony on Thursday with the Skies coverage. And last but not least, the Film Room with the Godfather Eric Turner on Tuesdays at 7 before the Hoof Podcast or the Hoof Live. So, lots of content still coming your way. Be sure to check it out. All right, so I got a couple things I want to get into here. There's been this analogy going around, and Danielle Jeremiah of NFL Network came out with it originally, and it's about trailers and trucks. And he, like I said, he uses it for quarterbacks. Some quarterbacks need a good team around them, therefore they are a trailer. And some quarterbacks are the truck and they pull the team. Luckily for the Bills, I think we have a truck. But anyway, I wanted to break that down further. I thought the analogy could be used for offensive line and running back as well. So I came up with horses and carriages. Horses are good running backs. They don't need a great offensive line. They can handle the load by themselves. And carriages is an offensive line dominant team who makes the running back good. I remember Bill Polian was always a believer that the running back creates the offensive line. That's probably why he had Thurman Thomas, Edgerrin James, etc. But many teams do believe in the offensive line and then just running back by committee. You can get an undrafted guy, whatever. So, teams who I believe are in the horse strategy, dominant running back, weak offensive line. And that's the Giants, the Panthers, and the Bengals that come to mind for me. And some capable horses that are running backs, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, Alvin Kamara. All running backs that they're going to be good regardless of what the offensive line looks like. As long as you have a capable NFL player up front, I think those running backs can be good on every single team. But the other side of it is the carriages, the offensive lines that pull the running backs. And I think those teams that use that strategy are the Patriots, the 49ers, and the Packers right now. They can put whatever running back they want back there, and they're going to be good. And I get a lot of teams do have both. The Cowboys have a good offensive line, really good running back. I mean, they're kind of in the stalemate category. But running backs who I think rely on a carriage type system right now, Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones, Miles Sanders, James Conner. They need to be on a good offensive line team to be successful. Which brings me to the Bills. Where are the Bills at? Really, they don't have a running game. Just abandon it seems like. But if I had to pick one, Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, I'd say 90% carriage running backs, right? Relying on the offensive line to get open. Singletary's a one cut back. He's going to break one tackle, right? We've seen his top speed. He ain't busting it out, right? So I think it's very assignment based. The offensive line has to hit their assignments for him to have huge gains, right? And Zach Moss, I think, is in that same category. Little different situationally. He's more of a power type back. But, he's going to break one tackle. He did have some nice plays, but, he's more of a break one tackle per play. He's not going to be Derrick Henry and carry 5 guys down the field. And neither running back will blow the top off, in my opinion, right? They're just not that guy, right? So I think, carriage type system is where the Bills are. And the Bills are a great passing team, right? We're talking about building a rushing team or whatever. It's something the Bills didn't have. Just want to keep it in perspective here. The Bills are great at passing the ball. I mean, they essentially abandoned the running with a running back, and they just said Cole Beasley and Josh Allen is going to be our running game. And they still won 13 games and 2 playoff games. So I'm not saying the Bills have to, develop this awesome running game. You just need to develop one. You just need to have that option when needed, right? When the passing game isn't going so well, teams are playing hard. Saw this in the playoffs a lot. They didn't really have the option to go to running back, right? So, and it's like Occam's razor of two explanations. The simplest one is usually true. This one's probably more like the path of least resistance, right? Reminds me of a homework assignment I had in college. And he came up with the example of learning new things, right? And this is to give a real life example of the path of least resistance. And I said, learning new things. Our brain is programmed to survive. That's why it's difficult to learn new things. It takes effort and determination to move out of our comfort zone. To try new things is hard, right? Staying in our comfort zone protected our ancestors from danger lurking around. The path of least resistance is just to stay in our comfort zone. And I think the Bills' comfort zone right now is to build an offensive line to improve the running game, not go find a horse type running back that can carry this team. I just think they're harder to find, and running back with the way it's being valued right now, the Bills are already committed to, a running back by committee. So I'd say stay in the comfort zone, build the carriage-based running game. But let's just talk about what this offensive line has done to this point. They deserve a ton of credit. With Quentin Spain departing, I mean, this guy was going to be a starter this entire season. That was the plan. I'm not sure what went wrong there with Quentin Spain, but very capable guard, had a great season in 2019. I think a lot of us expected him to have more success this season, but something got derailed. Something to do with his starting job. He got beat out. Who knows? So I give the offensive line a ton of credit, especially with Feliciano and Cody Ford's injuries, and they still finish as a top 10 offensive line. Really is incredible. PFF had them at 10th best offensive line in the league. And you got guys like, coming off the practice squad, guy like Brian Winters who just, showed up in August, kind of late, and it's a testament to the coaching staff, what they've been able to do. They have the respect of the players. Everyone's on the same page, and this team works their ass off, and they deserve it all. But let's just, to talk about offensive line, we got to talk about what does this team have currently, and what are they going to need. So right now, I didn't mention they're 10th in PFF, so we're going in order of PFF grade for the Bills offensive lineman. Daryl Williams, 79.4. Starting right tackle. Had a great season on a 1-year, $2.5 million contract. Had an incredible year for the Bills. Really held down that right tackle spot for the majority of the season. And that's a great find by Brandon Beane, bringing this guy in at a low cost and got a high reward out of that. So hopefully he is a free agent currently, so hopefully they're looking at re-signing him because I think this team needs him. Deion Dawkins, 78.1 PFF grade. Now his third season in a row of starting all 16 games. The guy is super reliable, does his job, gets it done, right? Also team captain, well-respected player on the team. Mitch Morris, 65.8. It's the second highest pass block win rate in the NFL among active centers. So great pass blocking center, and that shows up on the film. And even more kudos to Brandon Beane for bringing in a guy like Mitch Morris, who's contributed to this team as much as he has. So hit the nail on the head with that one. And in a league where it's really difficult to find capable starting centers, the Bills certainly have one. Ike Botker, offensive guard, 63.3. Played 100% of the snaps in all 7 games that he had started this season. Incredible story for him. He's been on the practice squad. He played like 2 games. He participated in 2 games before this season. So for him to come in and play effectively and get all those stats, be reliable for this team, ton of credit for him. I think he solidified his spot on this roster next season. I think they will re-sign him. John Feliciano, 64.6. Battled a ton of injuries throughout the year. Only played 45% of the snaps. And, he's got some contract questions too. He's also a free agent currently. We'll see where that goes. I did mention Brian Winters, 54.6. Signed in August after Feliciano was injured. Didn't have the best season, but he did okay. I think he did his job. He's overmatched a lot, but for what he's asked to do, coming in here in late training camp in a COVID year, decent job from him. And then Cody Ford, 53.8. Saw him move around a lot this season. Looks like he settled in the left guard position before being injured. And he did not play past week 9. And, did it impact the running game? A lot of people ask me about this. I don't know. Before week 9, 4.13 yards per carry. After week 9, 4.51 yards per carry. Could be coincidence. Does it have anything to do with Cody Ford and Ike Botker taking his place or Brian Winters coming in? I don't know. Likely not. Likely that's just coincidence. Teams, getting better. Things are being figured out around week 9. That probably has something to do with it, in my opinion. And then no PFF grade because they didn't meet the minimum snaps. Ty Nsekhe is going to be 36 years old in October. And Ryan Bates, saw him do a ton of different stuff for this team. That's why he's a depth player. That's why he continues to make the roster year in, year out. They like his versatility, is what I think. Okay, the free agents that are, I did mention a few of them. Current free agents on this line right now, there's 5 total. Ty Nsekhe, John Feliciano, Brian Winters, Daryl Williams, and Ike Botker. That's a lot of snaps that are free agents right now for this team. And if I just went through them real quick, I'd say Ty Nsekhe, I don't think they re-sign him. I don't think they do. Didn't contribute a ton this year. For offensive linemen, 36 is old. There's no TB12 for linemen, right? And is it impacting his game? Who knows? Didn't get a ton of action this year, so I don't know. I think it's fair to say he's probably done. John Feliciano, I think they will re-sign just because I think he is a big part of this team. He did bounce back from his injury. He had a decent year. I think, franchise quarterbacks get what they want, right? And I think John Feliciano is something that Josh Allen will have a say on. Feliciano is an outstanding center, as a backup center playing depth. He's versatile, plays, right guard and center. At times has played left guard. So I think he's the guy they're going to re-sign, in my opinion. Brian Winters, I think they let go. I think he'll be signed somewhere else as a depth player. I just think there's opportunities to improve the depth of this team, and that doesn't include Brian Winters, in my opinion. Daryl Williams, and this one's a tough one because he's earned Brandon Beane says this all the time. He's earned the right to test the market. And I think Daryl Williams is certainly in that category as well. He had a great season, and he played for very little money in NFL standards. So if he wants to go get paid, I'm not going to be upset at him, the player, for that. It would be bad for the team because I think he is a big part of this offensive line, and he is a big factor to the success that they have had. So that's going to be an interesting case to watch as we move forward, because how much are they willing to pay Daryl Williams is kind of where I'm at on that. And that'd be a great topic for future shows, but I think they do get a deal done eventually. but I would not be surprised if he does walk. And then Ike Botker, again, same type of conversation. I think he gets re-signed. I just think he's earned it, right? He's come from the undrafted story to the practice squad to a capable starter. Could we upgrade the position? Certainly, but I'd like to have the guy around as a depth player, no doubt about it. And he's been on this team a while now. I think that matters as well. They know who he is. He knows the system, what they're trying to accomplish. A couple other offensive linemen. Trey Adams was on the practice squad. I don't think he's been re-signed yet. Jordan DeVay re-signed to the 1-year deal. He's 33 years old, and Buffalo's now his 6th team in the NFL. So we'll see how that pans out. Didn't hear a ton about him. I think he played maybe just a couple plays this year. So the number is 9. That's how many offensive linemen that the Bills have carried to the 53-man roster. And I think, the reason they do that is the Bills want versatility from their linemen so they can keep an extra playmaker, receiver, whatever, whether it's running back, whether it's receiver, tight end. But I think having those versatile linemen that they care about so much, it helps out, right? So you have 5 starters, 4 backups, right? That's kind of how the Bills have operated the past few seasons. Not to say that's how they will do it, but I think that's what they like to do, right? It's all case by case and what you have on your roster. But I think that's kind of the number they're going for is 9. So in my hypothetical scenario of not re-signing Brian Winters and not re-signing Ty Nsekhe, you currently would have 8. You have 8 linemen, so you have a need. But this unit, talked about ESPN analytics. They ran a team pass block win rate. And as a team, how many times did the linemen win their battle? And the Bills were 4th, with 64% of the time on pass blocking only. They're only behind Green Bay, Cleveland, and Arizona. On the flip side, though, when you talk about team run blocking, the win rate for team run blocking, the Bills were 29th at 69%. They're only above the Jets, the Chiefs, and the Chargers. And this is interesting because the Chiefs are in there as well, and they're, Super Bowl team. And these teams just pass heavy, very pass heavy. And, you gotta run the ball to get this percentage up. When you're pass blocking, 65, 70% of the time, you don't use it, you lose it, right? It seems like maybe the linemen aren't used to it. They're not really known for maulers. Maybe they don't have maulers on their team, right? I know the Bills certainly don't really have a mauler on the offensive line. Everyone's really there to pass block, and then with Josh's mobility, it works. And I think that's a similar case for the Chiefs. So, the top teams in team run block win rate: Green Bay, Philadelphia, Washington football team, Baltimore, and Houston. Right, Green Bay is in the top of a lot of these categories. They're in the top pass block win rate and the top run block win rate. And that's why they've won 13 games in the last 2 seasons. Very well-rounded. So then you have a need. You understand what we need to work on. It's run blocking, winning the run blocking, right? That's how you're going to add a running game. And 3 things that I think Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott want from an offensive lineman. And we know this because they've been around a while now. We kind of know what they're looking for. I think a lot of the fans could just, look through the draft process and pick out these are McDermott guys, these are Brandon Beane guys, right? We've been at this a while now. And number one thing, I think, versatility on the offensive line. They mention this every single season, every single May around draft time, in April, and even months leading up to the draft. Every time we're in training camp, the Bills love versatility on the offensive line. And I kind of explained, I think, why they do that is so they can get that extra spot for a receiver or maybe a Andre Roberts type player, right? So versatility. Second one, high character. they're always looking for high character guys, smart, experienced, do the right thing when no one's looking type guys, right? And honestly, I think now that we've seen them for a while, they take character over physical ability sometimes. And the last one for me, this season, specifically in this situation, I think they want somebody cheaper, right? They're not going to go out and get a top free agent. They're not going to spend $10, $15 million a year for a guard in free agency. So I think they want, kind of what they did with Daryl Williams. I think this is what they're going to be looking for. The 1 year, $2.5 million, you got a ton of production out of him. And it's like winning a gamble, right? It's addicting. So we'll see where that goes. So I think you look to the draft, and I think you look for high reward, low financial risk free agents is kind of where we are. Maintaining those three things: versatility, high character, and cheap or affordable. And since we are building a carriage type running game, not a horse type running game, I think the group, the offensive lineman room, they lack an impact run blocker. If you just look at them, like we talked about with Kansas City, I don't think either team has an impact blocker, right? They're really good at pass blocking, find their assignments. But if you want to develop a running game on the offensive line where any running back can run through, I think you need an impact run blocker. And to get an immediate impact run blocker, I think you look early in the draft. Right, and it doesn't mean you can't get one later in the draft, round 3 through 7, or even undrafted. It's just not as likely, right? Let's look around the league a little bit here. The highest run block win rate as a guard, as an individual, number 1 is Quentin Nelson, 79%. Won his matchups, right? They have a good running game. Quentin Nelson's drafted round 1, pick 6. Immediate impact. Great running game. They could do a lot. Will Hernandez is number 2, 78%. Will Hernandez, second round pick for the Giants. Right, number 3, Zach Martin. Round 1, pick 16. Number 4, Isaac Seumalo. 2016 third round pick for the Eagles. And last, 5th, Brandon Shreve for the Washington football team. He was a 6th overall pick, first rounder as well. So if you want someone who's going to have a huge impact on the line and instantly develop a run game through the line, not through the running back, I think you take a guard early or a tackle early in the draft, and it pays dividends. Let's look at the highest run block win rate as a tackle. Brian O'Neill, Minnesota Vikings, 81%, leads the league. Second round pick, 62nd overall. Kelvin Beachum, number 2 for the Arizona Cardinals. 7th round pick. Not impossible, just not likely. Good find there. Brian Beluga, number 3. First round, 23rd. We all know Laramie Tunsil, been in the news. Round 1, pick 13, right? Well, originally it was probably supposed to be a top 5 pick, but ends up at 13. And then last year's rookie, first lineman off the board, Andrew Thomas. 4th overall pick. Kind of see a trend here. People who win are the earlier draft picks, right? So begs the argument, if you're building a carriage type running team, take a guard or a tackle who can make an impact. And to get a guy like that, it's got to be first or second round. You can find one later. Brandon Beane does have that ability. If they do, draft a guard or a tackle 3rd round, I would trust that guard or tackle will end up maybe as a starter. That this team's so good at drafting and finding diamonds in the rough, that wouldn't shock me. But you increase your chances by a lot if you take these type of players earlier. Just for fun, highest pass block win rate as a guard. Joel Benito from Cleveland, 97% of the time wins this pass blocking. Zach Martin second, Quentin Nelson third, Isaac Seumalo fourth for the Eagles, Ali Marpet in the Super Bowl, Tampa Bay fifth. Highest pass block win rate as a tackle, Andrew Whitworth, 94%. Dwayne Brown for Seattle, number 2. Billy Turner, Green Bay, number 3. Trent Williams, recently traded to San Francisco, makes number 4. Jack Conklin, formerly of Tennessee, currently playing for Cleveland. And it's interesting, Green Bay has guys all over these lists. Each one of these lists has Green Bay players in the top 10. Not the top 5, but the top 10. Bills have only one, and that's Mitch Morris, who is second with win rate pass blocking for centers. He's second. That's the only Bill in the top 10 of any of these lists. So, if we're going to look at guards and tackles early in the draft, who can make an impact on this run game and create a run game, because I think that's what they need to do. It's almost non-existent. I think you look at a couple, I'll give you, let's see, I got 3 guards, 3 tackles, little introduction to some of these draft players. We got a lot of time until the draft, get a lot more details later. Just a quick overview. A good target for the Bills would be Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC. Right now projected to go somewhere between 15th to 30th. So a good chance he won't be there for the Bills. But for USC, he played left tackle for the Trojans. Many scouts say he's a starting left guard in the NFL because of his makeup. Zone blocking guy, very athletic, can play probably multiple other schemes as well because of his athleticism. And, from the little bit I watched, hits real hard in the run game, and he'll play hard throughout the entire game. He doesn't go away in the second half or late in the games. So that's Elijah Vera Tucker. Moving on to Wyatt Davis. When we're talking about impact guards that are going to be maulers, this is the guy. He's a mauler on the line. Very physical player. He's probably better for like a quick passing game. But, I don't think the technicality is quite there. I don't think this guy's versatile, like we mentioned. But he is what you're getting, right? You're getting the mauler on the line, and I think that helps your run game. Definitely going to play on the right side as well, I think. Creed Humphrey out of Oklahoma. Pretty popular name. Multiple scheme. I think plays center. Left-handed center, which is interesting. Not too many left-handed guys play center. So, because he's probably the top guy for center, he may be overdrafted. So will he be there for the Bills at 30? It's hard to tell. But the Bills obviously don't need a center. But this guy, willing to play guard, played 3 full seasons at Oklahoma. It's a premier school like Ohio State. His power game, I think, is better than the pass blocking. Very competitive player. And, yeah, like I said, willing to move to guard. So you do have some versatility there. In the scenario where John Feliciano walks, this would be a guy that I think the Bills could look at. Let's move over to tackles. Those are 3 guards that I think would be a good fit. Let's move over to tackles here. And, you mentioned versatility. Alex Leatherwood he's probably the most versatile lineman in the draft, in my opinion. Playing at Alabama. He's played guard and tackle for them. He's played right or left for guard for them. I think he's played every single position except for center. So, it's, something to look at. NFL, probably, tackle might be a little difficult for him, but, we'll see as the draft process plays out. But I think definitely somebody the Bills will take a look at because of versatility alone. Could have came out last year, I think, and decided to stay another year. And it paid off for him. Got a championship. So, Liam Etchenberg, tackle from Notre Dame. And the reason I like this guy, he's a, plug and play starter at left tackle. And I'm not saying, the Bills need a left tackle, but somebody who's just, you're so sure is a starting caliber tackle in the NFL, it should be on your radar at all times, right? If he falls to 30, maybe we look at moving some things around. Can he play right tackle? Something to keep an eye on as I dive deeper. We'll get the other guys in. We'll look, can this guy play right tackle? Not sure, but is best suited in a heavy rushing offense. It's not the Bills right now, but dude's a beast. Dude's just a beast in the run game. So he fits my argument, which is convenient for me. But yeah, he may be may not be there as well, because it's hard to find a left tackle, a capable left tackle in the NFL, and there's one right there. Most scouts agree that he's an instant starter. And last four tackles, Jalen Mayfield out of Michigan. I didn't put this on there just because Sterling, I knew Sterling was going to listen to the show, but he'll be talking about him a lot. He's a huge Michigan guy. But starting offensive tackle, I think I can play either side of the line. Great movement, not a ton of length, but I think his technicality and his athleticism make up for that. So then, last but not least, I got a couple high reward, low financial risk free agents that I think Brandon Beane will take a look at. And I think the kind of fit the Daryl Williams mold, where he comes in for a low price on a prove-it deal, and then they blow the top off, right? A couple guys I think that are available in free agency who could have an impact like that. And the first one up is Forrest Lamp of the LA Chargers, who is now a free agent. Battled injury throughout his career, just kind of got off on the wrong foot. I think tore his ACL in the first training camp. Just hate to see stuff like that. But second round pick to the LA Chargers, and he had a couple more seasons. It was only until last year he actually got to play a full season, and he came out and he played all 16 games and 100% of the team snaps. So maybe a guy who's off to a bad start, looking for redemption, looking to salvage his NFL career, right? So it could all be there for him. And he'll probably get like a prove-it deal. Next is Matt Feeler from Pittsburgh, the Steelers. Played 5 seasons with the Steelers as an undrafted free agent. Played at least 60% of the snaps in the last 3 seasons. Total of 82% of the snaps for them at right tackle last season. So in the scenario that Daryl Williams walks, ends up on a different team, Matt Feeler could come in on the same type of deal. It's going to be hard to match Daryl Williams as far as production, but something they could look at, to replace him. And last but not least, tackle/guard Denzel Goode, formerly of the Las Vegas Raiders. Just the versatility with this guy. Started 14 games for the Raiders last season. I just think he'd be a good depth player, maybe not a starter, but a good depth player because of the versatility, as he started right tackle and guard. So, those guys are just hard to find, I feel like. But that's all I got. That's the argument. Hopefully I made the case. The Bills are a carriage team, and they need to focus on building a good carriage. All right, so they can carry a Bills running back to 1,000 yards. Or at least a couple touchdowns. I mean, more touchdowns than 5 or whatever it is. Take the load off Josh Allen a little bit. That's what a good carriage offensive line will do for you. I appreciate you spending your time with me, E. Brown Hoof, on this Friday. We're gonna keep doing this for a while. Giving the guys a break a little bit. This off season, but as things ramp up, we'll get back together. We'll get some good guests on, You're going to be hearing a lot from us this offseason, but be sure to check us out every Tuesday, every Friday. Be sure to hit up the Cover One Network, the other shows. Those guys do a great job. And as always, let us know your feedback. What do you want to hear? Any guests you want to hear? Any counter arguments you got? Please let us know. So until next time, see you later. Go Bills.